Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. Now continuing our essential games lists, we're looking at an essential list for Switch 2, is that right?
Yeah, essential games for Switch 2 so far, bearing in mind it's not been out for very long. And we've got a number of different genres here and one game obviously for each genre. Now we're doing this A, to help out new Switch 2 owners, but B, also as a bit of a time capsule, so that when we do one of these again, when hopefully there's a lot more games available, we can see the difference between the two lists.
Okay, so with that in mind, what are the essential Switch 2 games for each genre? Well, let's find out.
Right, let's start with a 3D platformer then, and a new release as of the time of this video. This is DK Bonanza.
Yeah, absolutely excellent. You know, aside from, you can critique any game, can't you? And we certainly have in our review. But it's just a fantastically fun experience and a step up really in terms of the Switch 2 exclusive releases we've had.
Yeah, they've taken kind of the core experience of something like Mario Odyssey, I think thrown a few other games in there as well in terms of how Donkey Kong handles and how the levels play out, and create something quite refreshing while still feeling very familiar. In terms of competition, at this moment in time, the only other one really is the Switch 2 version of the Kirby, is it the Forgotten Land? I think it was called, that was on the Switch 1. So that's available too if you're looking for something else. But yeah, this being built specifically for the Switch 2 takes this spot. Definitely.
We did a revisit as well, didn't we, of the Mario Odyssey that has a Switch 2 patch?
We did, yes. That was one that got a specific or dedicated patch, Mario Odyssey. So if you want to see how that holds up, if that's a game you own, if you're a Switch 1 owner now with a Switch 2, or just looking for some back catalogue games, then you can give that a watch too.
For a 2D platformer then, we've got Sonic X Shadow Generations, which did have a Switch 2 version.
Yes, yeah, so this released on the Switch 1, first as Sonic Generations of course, then you had the Sonic Cross Shadow version, and now that's on the Switch 2. I mean, this kind of wins by default at this moment in time, owing to the fact there aren't really many options if you're buying a Switch specific game, but it's still a very good platformer, and it's nice to see a Mario game, or a Nintendo game, should I say, as the 3D platformer and a Sega one as the 2D, bearing in mind the rivalry back in the day, you know. This adds shadow and it kind of mixes modern and classic Sonic in quite an interesting way. It's a good game.
Yeah, definitely. It does obviously have those 3D sections. If there's someone screaming at the screen, this isn't a 2D platformer, it does have those 3D sections, but it also has those side perspective Generations 2D sections.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like I said, it mixes the two, modern and classic, but it's not as much a 3D platformer as DK, so it goes in the 2D slot.
Then we've got an RPG in Bravely Default HD, Flying Fairy Fencing Master something,
very long title, something, yeah. Bravely Default, Flying Fairy HD, I think it's called. Yeah, this was on, well, it was on the 3DS, in fact, to begin with, and its sequel came to the Switch 1, and now they've remastered this first game for the Switch 2. It's a very good RPG, has a really interesting mechanic that I felt was very fresh when it first released, obviously, some years ago now on the 3DS, where you have the Brave and Default systems, which give the game its title, where you can use up your goes basically to kind of brute force your way through battles, or you can save them up and go into a more defensive stance. But it's the job system, or the asterisk system, where the game really shines for me, where you can start fusing jobs together to create some really powerful builds. Again, not a huge amount of competition yet on the Switch 2 specifically. A whole bunch of Switch 1 games, by the way. I'm sure we've got a list of RPGs that we can put in the top right hand corner if you want to see what's on the back catalogue. But again, hopefully this will be joined by a few more by the time we update this video next time.
After that, we've got the fighting game, and we kind of hoped we'd see this one. It's Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, it's nice to get this on the Switch 2, whereas for the RPG or the 2D platformer, say, they were older games. This one, I mean, obviously it had been out elsewhere for a little while, but it's new enough, I think, that it's a nice game to get as a launch game on a new console. It takes everything you know and love about fighting games and Street Fighter specifically, and kind of just amps it up. You know, it's got a great look to it. It went for a more realistic look after 5's more cartoonish look, in my opinion. If you look at Ken from Street Fighter 5 and look at him on 6, you'll see the difference for sure. He looked like he had a bunch of bananas on his head in Street Fighter 5. But it's got the World Tour mode as well, which is a more expansive open world story mode almost, which is fun. It's definitely a newer experience. It's something that fighting games used to do back in the day. I remember the Mortal Kombat games doing it quite a lot, where you travel around and speak to characters from the universe. And it has a very good online mode too. Yeah, just a great game. If you love your fighting games, this is a an instant pickup as far as I'm concerned.
After that, we have Sim Life, and it's Fantasy Life I, which does have a Switch version, Switch 1 version. And it's like the girl who steals time is the tagline, something like that. But it has a Switch 2 version as well. Really great game from the Fantasy Life series. First game in a long time. People were very excited to see if it would still encapsulate the same feeling that the first game had, and it certainly does, and it builds upon it with its life system, which is essentially different jobs that you can take on at any time and just move down a different path.
Yeah, exactly that. And it has got a well-priced upgrade path if you have the Switch 1 version. It's a couple of pound, I think, kind of to bring it in line with the Switch 2's pricing if you're buying it outright on the Switch 2. Yeah, very good game and worthy of a place on this list.
Followed by Open World, and the crown is taken by Cyberpunk 2077. I love this one. It is a open world first-person shooter/RPG adventure and runs nicely on Switch. It's great to see this one really making all these top games lists now after it was initially just a laughingstock, like it was a disgrace at launch.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to preface this one by saying that in open world, obviously technically you've got Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as Switch 2 releases. They've had a Switch 2 release. I tried as best as I could to avoid games that were on the Switch 1 where it was possible and where the genre had some competition, which is why I've chosen Cyberpunk, because it's the only way you'll play it on a Nintendo console. But of course they are available and they are fantastic and essential too. But yeah, just focusing on Cyberpunk, as you say, that redemption arc of what it started out as, what it became, and now it being on the Switch 2.
100%. And personally, I'd rather play Cyberpunk 2077. It's just more my kind of experience, you know, of the open worlds that we've got on Switch. So if you're interested in that one, it does also feature the DLC that has Idris Elba in it.
Right.
Which is kind of like, you sat there thinking, what is that? And it is. Yeah. There he is.
There he is.
The man, the legend.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good game. We do have a full review of it.
On to puzzle games then, and you've got Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, which is an amalgamation of Puyo Puyo and Tetris, of course. You can play both games separately if you like. You can play just the game of Puyo Puyo or Tetris if you have a strong preference, or you can play a number of different modes where they mix them up together, and that will really test your skills. You can play them competitively as well, of course, with friends, and that's quite fun if one of you has a strong preference or is particularly good at one of the two games.
Then we have Racing Game, and I'm sure you know what's going to be the winner for Switch 2 at the moment, and it's Mario Kart World, despite mixed reactions from some people.
Yeah, I think its biggest problem is perhaps the way it was, either the way it was marketed or the way people perceived the way it was marketed in terms of the world section. It is an open world, you can drive about it. It is interesting, for want of a better word, but it's not quite, I think, what perhaps people expected. That being said, just the pure racing is, of course, a great deal of fun, as it always has been in Mario Kart. There's a huge number of characters, and you do have that world section if you want something different in your Mario Kart game. I think this is one of those where I'd be intrigued to see where they go next with a Mario Kart game, whether that's on the Switch 2 or not, who knows. But yeah, I mean, it's a game that I'm sure has kept many, many people happy.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I saw the same as you, a lot of comments of people saying, oh, like the world section isn't the main part. It isn't the main part, but it's called Mario Kart World.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been, and in Nintendo's eyes, I believe it was. I just don't think it warrants it as much as it could have done if they'd have really focused on that area. At the end of the day, it's still a very good game. If you're looking for something Switch 2 specific to rival it, if you want, you've got Fast Fusion, which is perhaps a bit more of an acquired taste, but a very good racer also.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, that would definitely be my pick for sure. Then we've got strategy games, and Civilization 7 had the mouse mode functionality built in and really showed us what that could do to a strategy experience. It just makes it easier to play.
Yeah, I said obviously I wanted to try and avoid games that had been on the Switch 1, but I think this one has changed so much owing to the fact you can play it with a mouse, and in terms of performance, that it's worthy of being on an essential Switch 2 list, It's a fantastic game, Civilization. If you've played it before, you know what you're getting. If you haven't, it's about taking on or becoming a leader of people and moving through the ages. You'll engage with other civilizations, be it friendly or not, it's up to you. And yeah, just playing it with a mouse is so refreshing.
Last but not least, we've got Best Co-op, and that's Split Fiction.
Yeah, Split Fiction is one that I've not seen a huge amount of coverage for, I must say, in terms of the launch games for Switch 2. We played it at one of the events we went to. It was out elsewhere before the Switch 2 as well. And it's a really good co-op game. It's one of those where the whole game is built around the element of co-op.
Yeah, completely. And you have different abilities that complement each other, but are essential to progression in that regard. And by all accounts, by the end of the game, there's a lot of people saying like almost game of the year material.
Yeah, I think for what it does, you know, obviously being that co-op, not genre, but you know what I mean, that co-op type game, I don't think there's a lot of games that can match it. You know, it does that very well. And because it was built specifically with that in mind, that really shines in terms of how you have to obviously cooperate and get through each stage.
So that's it for our video today. Let us know in the comments some essential games maybe that you've been playing that potentially we've even missed or we haven't felt, you know, at the top of that category.
Yep, feel free to let people know. Like we say, this could be Switch 1 owners buying a Switch 2 or completely new people to Nintendo who have bought the Switch 2. So feel free to comment on things like upgrade paths or the free upgrades that certain games got, so that people have a wealth of information to help them with their new console. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit, you can use our website, switchup.gg, to get your eShop cards and save yourself a bit of money in terms of cash back. And there's a link down there to PlayAsia if you're looking to import any games. And again, that will save you some money there. Thank you to our patrons and our channel members. Take care and happy gaming.